Hey everybody, it's Ryan Haggerty from Pie Records, and I'm here with the Intoxicators. How are you guys?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Doing good, doing good.
Glad to have you on the show.
Well, thanks for having us.
Love being here.
So I listened to I Dreamed the Best Part and Easter Eggs on Halloween, and I was really impressed with the aggression.
Yeah.
And you want to talk a little bit about, well, first let's start by introducing yourselves and what instruments you play.
I'm Gary Evans. I play guitar.
Brian Crum, and I play drums.
I'm George Dial. I play rhythm guitar.
I'm Adam Watson, and I play the bass guitar.
Awesome. So what is the theme behind your music? I know you have such titles as The Goat. Like that was a really great song. Tell me a little bit about what was your inspiration behind starting a surf band.
Well, George and I used to be in a surf band in the 90s called Stingray International with Lewis Bailey. And really, I mean, my big influence for getting into surf music was, of course, Dick Dale and the whole 90s, surf wave that was happening back then. But, Man or Astroman was probably, and still is, way up top for me. So yeah, me and George, we got together with Lewis and had that surf band back in the 90s. And then I can't speak for the rest of the fellers.
Well, I came into this band actually by way of Lewis Bailey as well. Yeah, so me and him were in a burned together kind of blues band for a Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, and I was like, dude, we need to start a band together. And he was like, no, I'm going to Japan. And then I saw him at a Southern Culture on the Skid show. And when he was back from Japan, and he was like, can you record me for this thing in Japan? I was like, yeah, but we need to start a band. And then he came back the next time I saw him, and we started a band. And anyway, the Intoxicators show and review started out with him, and then he moved away to Orlando, and Gary and George both jumped in. And Adam started out on saxophone with the Intoxicators show and review.
Yeah, Lewis found me in the grocery store. We just ran into each other because he was a fan of another band I was in, and he just said, we've got this thing going where we're going to have go-go dancers, and it's going to be kind of it wasn't really surf at that point. It was kind of more garage lounge kind of stuff. And he said, we need a sax player and a keyboard player. So I said, well, I play a little bit of those badly if you want me to fill in until you find somebody else. So I did. And that was before Gary and George. And we had a couple other people. And then the bass players kept leaving. And so that's after Gary came in, and it kind of got more surf than it was, So anyway, that's how I got here.
So you're trying to say that I ran bass players off?
No, the bass players ran off before you, actually.
I mean,
yeah,
I think he's trying to say I did that.
Yeah, Lewis, whenever we were in Stingray, I had written some songs, and it was funny because they were doing the Intoxicators show and review, and they got offered to do a soundtrack for kind of a Plan 9 remake or reboot, and he's like, I know a guy who's got some songs. And so they called me up and we recorded, I think that was pre-George. I think, Adam, you were out of town whenever I joined. And then, anyway, I thought it was just kind of funny because I had these songs ready for Lewis and another band, and he was like, and then he's called
Don't over ready for instrumentals. I mean, originals yet. Too soon,
Yeah.
too soon.
And actually, The Goat was one of those. And it started off as a slower song, and I think sometime in between originally writing it and it getting to the Intoxicators, it got sped up just like everything does.
I have a
I'm
tendency
walking
to
all
do
over
that.
George. Walking all over George.
Well, me and Lewis were playing literally in a garage with like some 17-year-old drummer, some punk kid. And then Lewis, then Gary started playing with this, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is what the surf music sounds like. Gary, kind of guy that brings a guitar player to a knife fight and wins. So anyway, so he changed the dynamic completely. And I've always been a guy that's been born too late in terms of music. I wish I could have been.
Awesome. So when did you start? I know a lot of you guys come from, like you said, from the Stingrays or Lewis Bailey, but he was kind of in the 90s, and he just released the instrumental stylings of Lewis Bailey, and I'm sure you guys played on some of
George
that.
and Gary are all over that.
I have one right here.
Yeah, George and Gary are all over that record.
Isn't
They're
that a
still
great
available.
album?
It is.
It's
It's a
great.
great album. It's a great album. It really is.
And the way Dave Klein produced it or mastered it, it's totally seamless. Like, you can't tell that they were all recorded at a different time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in different at different levels of quality. Actually, the studio we were in was pretty good. Let's say that.
Yeah, I heard it before it was mastered. Lewis sent me a version of all the songs, and was like, "What do you think of the song order?" And I'm like, "Well, it's going to be hard to get all these to sound, the same." And Dave Klein did such a masterful job on that.
Yeah, I agree.
So to answer your question, the Intoxicators, once Gary joined the band, it was about 2002. So we've been
Yeah, it's about
around 20
years.
years. If my math is right, it is 2022, right?
Yeah.
And
If you don't count the early.
you've produced a lot of music in that time. What are some of the highlights of some of the songs on your albums that I don't know, kind of sparked you to move on and keep at it? Like, what are some of the hallmarks of your career as the Intoxicators?
I'll let somebody else answer, and then I'll go off.
I think the first thing was being discovered by Tiki Kaliki in Atlanta with nobody else there. That was kind of a big hallmark for us.
Yeah.
Song wise, like on our first record, there's a song called Phantom Mustang, which is just, I think, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
That's a Gary Evans original.
I do love that song. I love the goat. I think I Am the Creator and Time is a Destroyer. I think it sounds a lot better live right now. We're toying with re-recording that one to kind of get the same feel that we get live, because it's especially with George because at the time George was out of the band for a little bit, was just kind of busy with life and stuff, and having George when we're doing it live really helps a lot. That one, and then I really like Cossacks, the first one, and then the one me and Brian wrote together, a Single Point of Failure. Brian kind of came up with the bass line, and we just kind of crisscrossed it and pulled that thing up together. And to me, that's my favorite song on that record. We're looking forward to getting that one out and playing it live. I'm trying to think of what else. Jeez.
I feel the same way about The Goat. I think that's one of the great songs. And I like a lot of the sort of big band feel to some of those songs. That one, and there's another one I can't remember now.
Well, Indira, of course, obviously, is one of my absolute favorites too.
Yeah.
That was a fun one to play. And it's danceable, and I feel like it's got a good melody, and I named it after my daughter.
That's pretty
Gary's
cool.
really good at putting a lot of dynamics in his songs. There's a lot of stops and starts and.
George, I'm already sleeping with you, buddy. You don't have to.
Never assume. Never assume.
So what?
Yeah, Phantom Mustang, I think, was a big shift. Yeah. I'm sorry.
what's going on with you guys right now? Have you gotten back together? I know Gary plays with the Manicuras. I'm sure all of you guys are playing with other bands. How do you make time for the Intoxicators?
Well, the Intoxicators is the one that we make the most time for. Well, the Manicuras was a pretty big commitment while we were recording for sure. And luckily, a lot of the shows that we play, like festival stuff, there's some crossover there. So we'll have the Manicuras, the Disastronauts, and the Intoxicators all play in the same show. So me and Brian are are rehearsing with the Manicuras, of course, because we're all spread out everywhere. And then getting our Intoxicator shows in. But we're together. The four of us are together, at least once a week.
So
cool.
our big shows that we have coming up, we're going to be playing Hukilau in Fort Lauderdale in June. We're going to be playing in Sarasota, Florida in late into September, beginning of October. Those are our two big shows that we've got on the books right now. And we've got some local shows too.
Yeah, it's of course I don't want to go too far aside for this, but of course it's been a couple of tough years for bands and stuff. We're looking forward to it getting ramped up. It was tough to go from playing somewhere a couple times a month at least to now we're about back to one a month. So we're hoping to keep that momentum going and grow and build on it.
Thank the Lord. Yeah.
In your area in Tallahassee, what's your spot to go to play? Everybody has kind of like a spot.
Waterworks.
Yeah, Waterworks.
Waterworks.
We also love a couple other places. There's there's
the Crumb Box, no relation to me.
Yeah.
No relation. And Birds, we haven't played Birds in a while.
Yeah, Birds, Aphrodisiac, Oyster Shack. That's always fun to play there.
Yeah.
Waterworks is
How close are you to Tampa? How close is Tallahassee to Tampa?
It's about
4 hours.
3 hours, 4 hours.
Have you ever played with
hours.
Black Valley Moon?
No,
we
I've
haven't.
seen them though.
Yeah, they're pretty rad.
Yeah.
So tell me, are you like you're finally getting together, playing out more shows at least compared to the what was going on in the pandemic? Are you writing new songs right now?
Yeah, yes, we are. We've got a couple that we're working on right now. And then still writing, of course. But we've had a lot of stuff that, has been sitting around since, the whole pandemic thing. And, and some things that me and Brian, we do a lot of, some of the times when we're writing, Brian starts playing drums, to start playing guitar, and we take the good pieces and then cut them up into new songs. So we got a lot of that stuff.
Where I play something really badly on bass and say, Gary, can you do anything with this? And then he comes back like an hour later with a masterpiece.
No, it's fun. It's not. It wasn't a bad bass line. I'm not reinforcing Brian's.
I'm bad bass playing. I'll say that.
But I was just going through my computer and I found one song and I was like, I completely forgot that is a song in the can. It's called Clappy, I think, is what we had to hit save.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wow, this sounds really good. Oh, that was us. So I need to bring that one up.
So Gary, before the interview, I talked about how long the Manicuras interview is. That was a compliment because as long, the more you talk, the better it is for the interview. So I didn't want you to take that the wrong way.
Oh no. I think all of us love to talk, and the four of us are in that same camp.
more got there.
Yeah, we do this meeting on a 6 o'clock on a Saturday night. You'll get a lot of talking.
Yeah.
So
What were you
okay,
saying, Adam?
They're more.
I have to ask, where did the name the Intoxicators come from?
Brian.
Actually, Lewis Bailey and I, mainly Lewis Bailey, came up with that name. when we first originated the band. Like it was the Intoxicators show and review. And then when the dancers left right before our first show, we changed it to the Intoxicators.
We wanted to make
So-
sure we never had to play a church social again.
Or high school
Yeah,
educational.
it's our explicit lyrics. We don't want the
Yeah.
All right.
explicit lyrics to get in the way.
They are listed as explicit on Spotify. Did y'all notice that?
Oh, because of the titles?
I guess because of the titles, I couldn't figure out why that was.
Yeah,
either.
it must mean something in a different language.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Prostitutes in a clown car. That's
Okay,
so bad.
Okay, but the devil's driving.
Oh, wow. So what do you think gear wise is your go-to for this specific band? It might be different for other bands, but for this specific band, what do you guys love to use to get your sound? It's really wet, and I'm interested in what you guys use.
Well, I use a couple of Fender Deluxe reverbs. One I use the onboard reverb. One I use a Gaiatone tank. And then right now on the pedal board, just really got, as far as what I run, is like a Green Rhino overdrive, just set kind of low, just to get a little crunch sometimes if I need it. And then the TC Electronics Spark Boost, which is just adds a little bit of bite to it. It's really good. And that's for. There's other stuff, but I mean, pretty much that's what it is.
Yeah,
Your
it used to-
guitar.
Go ahead, George.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I play a jazz master. No, about a 10-year-old Mexican jazz master, and I used to play a Telecaster. But when I went to the jazz master, it was just like, oh my God, this is such a nice guitar. It's a real versatile guitar too. And then we used to play through, Gary and I used to play through Fender Twins, and I went to a Fender Deluxe Reverb a few years ago, and it's just it's the cliche, but it is the perfect guitar. And because I'm primarily playing rhythm, I use a lot of vibrato on my amp, and it's a really good effect, really good, subtle but really good effect.
Yeah. Once George got the Deluxe, I had to get one, and then I said, "Well, George, I'll see you. I'll raise you another Deluxe." I do use a 2 amps, and then split it with I think it's called a mimic pedal, so it kind of emulates having 2 guitars at once, which is usually the way I record things as well. Is I'll double track it.
You'll double it up
So we
without
try-
actually having to play it twice.
Well, I'll double it up live with that pedal. If I'm recording it, I do just go ahead and play both the parts.
Okay. Okay. As
Um,
far as bass goes, what do you like to play on?
I always used Ampeg bass amps. I used to have an SVT, but I'm too old and weak to carry it around, so I sold it. But Lewis was playing through a little Rocket 100 Ampeg with a 15-inch speaker, and so I got one just like it. And I've tried some other Ampeg stuff. We still have a bigger rig, but I still really like the way it sounds. It's just kind of a dirty, kind of nice sound that I love out of that amp. And it, with a direct box playing live, usually I can get by with that. And then I've always played, in terms of bass, Fender P basses. I have a 54 reissue one, just a single pickup that's my go-to bass for the Intoxicators. And then I have a 70s P bass that I use with the Disaster on to a lot. And then I never really used effects on bass, but just for a little bit. Now I have this big, I play guitar too, but so I have this effects pedal board, but I use it just for little bits of spice, not like throughout a whole song, like put tremolo on the end of a song on the bass, or
Okay.
I've used Gary's Big Muff for some distortion or fuzz sometimes, and that's really about it. I do have like a little Danico delay too that I use sometimes but it's just like the end of a song or like a small part of a song.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Yeah, he gets that little Ampeg. He gets this great, just raw, boom, 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 boom.
I like that sound.
P bass is very very versatile as far as different genres of music.
Yeah, I mean the 54 reissue, which is kind of like the very first P bass, only has one pickup, so it has a certain sound. I just always liked it, and but the other one's a little the later P bass, the 70s one that I have, I can get a little bit mellower, rounder tones on that, so it's lighter too.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Brian, I wanted to thank you for sending me the music and to play on our show. I want to talk about what you use for your drums. I know,
So
Superphonic is a popular is a popular brand. Do you ever use one of those?
don't. My drums were built by a guy named Woody Compton in Gainesville, Florida. So they're Compton custom drums, and then all my cymbals are Zildjian.
Okay.
Special effect there. So yeah, Woody, he's a friend of ours, and he comes out to our shows, and he called me up one day and said, "Hey, would you be interested in me making a snare for you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so he said, "I'm going to come over. I'm going to bring you 4 snares." And he brought me 4 snares and said, pick one. And they were all absolutely gorgeous. But I ended up getting like this cherry stave snare, which just sounds amazing. And that's my go-to snare drum. I do have a Ludwig, a metal snare that I use for recording sometimes, that I rebuilt. But my go-to is all the Comptone Blue Sparkle Flame kit and cherry stave. It just sounds amazing.
Awesome.
You have 2 kits. Didn't he give you 2 different ones? I thought you had
Um,
one.
Yeah,
kit.
I've got the pieces of pretty much 2 kits. Yeah. So I've got one that I keep in the studio, and then one that pretty much I'll take on the road when we go and play out. So
Awesome.
I
Kinda like the
I keep the better ones. You were asking about wet sound, and we have a thing. We play a lot outdoors in Florida, and there's so much rain. So every time it rains on a show outdoors, I have to completely tear apart every bit of the kit and rust proof it, and it's just Florida.
Yeah, I
I
know.
love it and I
basically
hate
what
it.
So, what is your style of recording? I know right now it might not be as easy. It might be have to done virtually, but do you guys get in a room and play live, or do you track separately? I know, Gary, you said you worked at in a pretty cool studio. You want to talk about that?
Well, it's our studio. It's really just the same place we rehearse. Usually we do track things separately. What we'll start off with is a scratch, and we'll play along with that, and then just to get everything isolated and sounding the way we want it to, and then I'm going to go back and double track on stuff. We'll play over that. Sometimes the scratch is the track, but for the most parts, we'll just to get things as separated as possible. We'll play over that scratch, put our parts on, mix it, make sure we like it.
Cool.
A good example of I mean, we do a little bit of both. So on the Easter Eggs on Halloween record, there's a song called "The White Spot," which we wrote. Angie Pontani was gonna go dance with us at one of our shows, so we wrote that song for her. Gary and I basically just recorded, me and him, and then we went back and added the bass over that.
what's that song?
So that was a live track with added bass.
Oh,
Yeah.
What's that song
So
what's that?
about? The White Spot. What is that song about? I mean, what was it?
So Angie, so we were writing it for Angie, and when Angie was a kid, she had a space behind her house. It was like this white concrete that all the kids in the neighborhood would get there and like perform shows and stuff. And So it's named after the spot that she would do little performances when she was a kid.
All right, good answer.
Yeah. We did that song, and we've got another song that didn't make it on a record yet that we wrote for Kitten DeVille, but both of them go danced with us at a show in Hukilau in Fort Lauderdale. And so hopefully at some point we could put like a 45 out with both of the songs on there.
That would be good.
Now you put all your music out yourself,
Yeah.
Yes.
and do you have vinyl or CDs available anywhere?
We do have CDs. They're available on our website.
Yeah. We're
We've
with
got
the next
extremely low stock at the moment, but
yeah.
we do have them.
with the next release, we're gonna do something a little bit bigger for sure. Trying to expand our markets.
Yeah, we're gonna put out it on cassettes and 8-track.
Oh,
Yep. KTEL Records.
you know, people are starting to make 8-tracks again, at least for marketing. I know there's a band called Haley and the Crushers that put out as you know, like a souvenir, and when you go to the show.
Yeah. We're gonna do wax cylinders.
That's pretty next level, Adam.
So what's next? You say you have a couple of songs that you're looking to record. Is that what you're doing right now, or are you concentrating more on playing out?
Right now, we're trying to keep up to speed on playing out, but we're also working on those songs when we're at our normal rehearsals. Both.
What
We have a lot of stuff that's on the way to the can. It's not in the can yet, but it's on the
there's
way
a
to the
can. Yeah,
Yes, there's a can. And it's way off in the corner of the room.
They gotta go.
So I wanna ask you before we go any further. What is your website name? Where people can find your music?
www.theintoxicators.com.
Awesome. Now I know I found some single and I Dreamed the Best Part on Apple Music. So those two are available there. Do you guys use Bandcamp as well?
We don't have a Bandcamp right now, but that's something that we're gonna do. We were using Reverb Nation as our base, but I think we're about ready to switch to Bandcamp. With the next release, we'll be putting it up probably there.
So I'm assuming when you say you're looking to do something bigger, would be a vinyl release. Is that something you're going to put out yourselves, or have you been talking to somebody?
We're open to options.
Yeah, make us an offer.
I'd have to brush up on my marketing skills in order to do a good job.
That's what they all say.
So I want to thank you so much, guys. I don't want to get cut off here. I know Zoom has a limit on the time if you have multiple people in. But is there anything you want to mention or talk about before we get off that I might not have asked or mentioned?
Come out and see us at Hukilau and all the other festivals.
Yes. Yep. We're just looking forward to playing more shows. And hey, if you want us to call us, just call us. We're here. We love you. We miss you.
We're nice.
You miss us.
We won't bite.
Yeah. Just like to throw some shout outs to some of the surf festivals. Chad Shivers has the Southern Surf Stomp Fest in Atlanta, which is an amazing festival. And then Jeff Hansen, Big Tiki Dude, has got the Surf Guitar 101 out in California. And then Vince and Magda with High Tide Recordings have the Asbury Park Surf Festival, and also Lorenzo over in Italy. So love to, make sure that people know about those and go and attend the festivals. And you can see like the most amazing surf bands you could ever imagine at any of those.
I'm ready
And
to play.
sometimes us.
Cool.
Go to Italy.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love to go see the Surfer Joe Festival.
Yeah.
Just to catch all the bands from Europe that I wouldn't get to see here.
Yeah, some of these other festivals have had some of the bands from Europe come over, and like we played in Surf Guitar 101, and El Rey played, and they were absolutely amazing. One of my favorite bands.
Oh, God.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys, for your time in scheduling this to be a part of this all at the same time. It was great to have you all. And I just want to thank you. I really dig your music, and I've been following you guys for a little while, and I was very happy to have you on. And I also enjoy the Manicuras, and I really dig all of Lewis Bailey's stuff. So to hear you guys are connected to him in some way is it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we do love some Uncle Lou. Actually, on that record, we had the Lewis Bailey story on that Easter egg.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, have a great night, guys, and thank you again so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy
Thanks,
it.
Ryan.
for
See you
having
later.